So what if you actually got everything you wanted? Whatever goal you set for yourself, the vision you have for your life, what if you got that? Because we assume that we know what's best for us, right? And so we assume that whatever we want for our life is truly what matters. As far as why we want it, who freaking knows? But we know we want certain things. We may want the money, the cars, the fame, the success, to be known, to be seen. For what? It's so much more complicated than that. And I hope in this video I can really break down the idea of getting everything you want, how to fall out of this cycle of desolation, this constant pursuit of more, but how can you still become a high performer without predicating everything on this being seen framework that we all have? So I was a part of a small business a few years back. It was operated by someone I knew. It was owned, by someone I knew. And I came and I kind of took over some parts of the operations. We were trying to scale it together. I didn't JV with him, none of that. I was on payroll, basically. Throughout the course of those 2 years, it was very difficult, and all we wanted was to make it, whatever that meant. Make it. Right? And if you guys want to do research, you guys can. The company is Brother Cosmetics. They manufacture nail products. And so me and my friend, all we wanted to do, day in and day out, man, I can't wait till we make it. Oh my gosh, we're going to get the money. We're going to get this, the Escalade, and this, and then the house, and this. So anyways, something happened along that window where, we split. And I left the company. And I started doing my own thing. And my friend, he started making it. His definition of making it. The money came. And a lot of it. I'm not talking about a couple of tens of thousands. I'm talking about $500,000 up. And to us, that's big numbers, man. Like, I would say we're small time. So $500,000 up, that's big. I know big time people are like, that's it. I spent that on dinner yesterday. We're not that yet, right? So he made it. And I remember I got on the phone with him. I'm like, so how does it feel? He's like, I'm not going to lie, man. Nothing's really changed, right? So you hear all the time, right? You'll hear celebrities. You'll hear extremely wealthy people. They talk about this idea. And it's success is not what you think. So here's what it is. It's the psychology of desire. Human beings were wired to always want more because we acknowledge that there's more. So here's an example. If you did not know that the earth was this big, let's say for some odd reason, you only knew that your city was all there was to the earth, to existence. There was nothing else. There's no humans anywhere else. You wouldn't have such great desires because you wouldn't acknowledge the possibility of more. The acknowledgement of more induces this desire to try to obtain all of that. We are our own creators after all, and to a degree, we can do anything we set our sights to. But we gotta understand, why the heck do we even want to do it in the first place? And I'll kind of give you my tips and tricks on what I do, because this is something that I spent a long time thinking about. An extremely long time. Stoicism and Buddhist philosophy, for example, they really harp on and teach about detachment. I'm going to give you a quick backstory on the Buddhist philosophy. And so the Buddhist philosophy, you have a king, and if I get the story wrong, I'm sorry. This was just something I read back in the day, and so I've remembered it. And so obviously Buddha isn't really a person. It's just a name for a state of enlightenment, right? And so a state of enlightenment can be understood as being able to understand a fragment of not only yourself, but the external world, to where you can separate the two. That's a good way to think about it. So Buddha, the name Buddha isn't really a person. It first started off with the emperor, I believe. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. And so he had all the possessions in the world. He was a king, an emperor. He had everything. Wealth, people to work for him. He ruled. And one day, he's like, this isn't enough. Like this is meaningless. So what he did was he abandoned everything. He left. And the story goes, he goes and sit by the tree. And you guys know the infamous photo of Buddha sitting by a tree with the sun in the background. He goes, sits by a tree, and he starts meditating. And meditating isn't just closing your eyes, going home. It's just deep reflection, right? And so if you just sit outside and look at the sky, you're technically meditating. It's just deep. It's a moment of deep reflection and focus. And he discovered that life was not found, and the meaning of life is not found in things that are tangible. He found that the meaning of life exists inwards. And so what Siddhartha did was he started dwelling inwards. And he discovered it, and he began to teach his students. And on a long enough time horizon, it becomes a religion now, to where a lot of people go into Buddhists or go into the temples and actually worship this ceramic statue of Siddhartha, which I am completely against. And so that's my take on religion. It's misunderstood because throughout the courses of thousands of years and on a long enough time horizon, the teaching has been misunderstood. Siddhartha Gautama, named Buddha, given the name Buddha, which is just a state of nirvana, a state of enlightenment. His main teaching was dwell inwards, and you will discover the meaning of life, and you will discover parts of yourself that you never even knew existed. Dwell inwards. But his teachings were so profound that he became idolized by his students, by others. And then on a long enough time horizon, now he is being worshipped, when he never taught people to worship him. He taught people to look inside, right? So that's my quick hot take on religion. That's why I'm not really a big fan of religion. I still study the books. Like I'll read the Bible. I'll try to read the Quran, just because they're books of wisdom that have stood the test of time. And so I always am curious, and I'm fascinated by how thousands of pieces of paper can withstand the test of time. It's magnificent. So Stoicism also teaches us this. It's the dangers of unchecked desires. And so the dangers of unchecked desires is, when you have a desire, why is it here? For what reason? Stoics believe that desire is a trap that keeps people perpetually unsatisfied. So when you obtain something, you want more. You desire this, you obtain it, and you want more. Especially now in this day and age, social media, advertising, pop culture, it feeds us this illusion that getting everything that we want equates to happiness and fulfillment. And that's just not the case. And it never will be the case. They just feed you that so that you can keep on going. The more you go, the more you just benefit the system, the more you benefit the economy. What happens if everyone just stops right now, says nothing tangible means anything? Can you imagine if right now everyone in the world said, you know what? Anything tangible means nothing. All I need is some food, shelter, if that, and some water, and maybe clothes. Can you imagine if everyone said that's all we need and just abandons everything? Oh my gosh, the world will collapse. The economy will collapse. Right? But look back in the days before civilization was constructed, when our ancestors were just roaming the earth, creating huts and villages, tribes, and colonizing, right? There was no civilization. Those days were simpler until we developed a desire for more, and it stems back to those days. Someone had a desire for more and just wouldn't let anyone strip that away from them. They wanted more. I want this land and this land and this land, and now this land I'll distribute it to this person, and then I'll, you know what, you can take this land, I'm not using it. Let me get this from you, and then here enters trading, the trading system. We don't know what we want, and if we do know what we want, it's rare that we know why we want it. So here's the psychology of desire. Dopamine. We all know about the brain's reward system, dopamine. It spikes during the pursuit of a goal. Dopamine is the pursuit of something, not the acquisition of something. And I think that's misunderstood across the board. You get this reward feeling, oh, I feel so good, I did it, a sense of accomplishment throughout the pursuit of something, not once it's achieved. So for example, going to the gym, you feel your best throughout the workout, not after. If you have a big event, you feel your best and you're wired throughout the planning phases of it, not the day of the actual event, right? So once the goal is achieved, dopamine levels fall, leaves people with this sense of emptiness. And that's how the reward system works, and that's the premise of desire. Want something, work towards getting it. Work towards getting it. Want something again because now I don't feel as good because I got it already. Want something, try to achieve it, already achieve it, levels fall. Want something again to bring the levels back up, achieve it, and there's this constant loop. And so you wonder why a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are extremely successful. They don't have a freaking off button. Is that wrong? No, nothing's wrong, nothing's right. I just want to give you this information so that you know exactly how to play. When I was younger, similar to perhaps a lot of you, I wanted these things that the world just feeds to me that will bring me happiness and fulfillment. The money, the accolades, people telling me you are the best. The cars, the women, the houses, everyone just shaking my hand. And I come to realize that I don't want any of those things, but I'm still going to obtain them. And I'll tell you why. The framework I use to make decisions is, what would I do at 90 years old? And so, if I want to go buy a brand new car, I'm going to ask, why do I want to buy a brand new car? At 90 years old, would I buy a brand new car? No. And then I would also ask, if I was the only one on planet Earth, right now, no one else is here, it's just me, and I have access to all of this, would I buy that car? And usually the answer will present itself to me, and I'll be like, oh, I don't want the Lamborghini or the Escalade. I want to impress people. And so I'm like, it gives me a more thorough understanding of my desires, right? I ask, if I'm the only one here on earth, would I still be training? And the answer is yes, because I'm bored. I want to see what my body's capable of. It's not just to look good and impress everybody. I'm like, So my foundation for training and exercise isn't predicated on I can't wait to impress people, but it's let's see what this body is made of. Let's see what I can put this body through, right? And that's really how I train. I don't really optimize for hypertrophy. You guys see my physique is relatively average at best. I don't optimize for hypertrophy. I optimize for how much can I put my body through, and that's it. And if my body collapses, let's try again tomorrow, right? Because I want to become better. I want to see really what I'm made of, because I've lived a life where I felt so worthless. I felt so inferior. I felt like I was made of nothing, like I was better off dead, that there was no value I can give to the world, and there was nothing that I can do for people or myself, that I could never take care of my family. And it's because I had a track record. I had the receipts to back that framework up. And it was awful. It was a terrible feeling. So throughout the course of all of that, I never had an idea of what I wanted to do. I grew up lost relatively my whole life. So a quick backstory. Up until the age of 18, I did not know what to do. As a matter of fact, even today, I still don't know what to do. I'm still just figuring it out as I'm living. You can never have it fully figured out. If you think you do, wait a year and look back on this moment, you're like, damn, right? The household was very chaotic growing up. And this isn't a boo-hoo, I'm a victim story. It's just why I behave how I behave. The household was very chaotic growing up. I had my father and my mother, but it was not a happy family. There was a lot of screaming, yelling, crying, breaking things, and I still vividly remember the sounds of all of that. And anytime I kind of revisit that thought, I kind of zone back in. It's like I snap back into that mode of I'm back in that space. And it's not that I'm traumatized. I've healed from it, and I've understood how it affected me and how it changed my psychology. But it's there. It's a memory. You can't just wipe memory. It's not how it works. You don't wipe memory. So I still remember the screaming and the stop it, you're hurting me, and the breaking. And it happened so often that I knew when things were gonna just be, it was just gonna be a terrible night. And I developed an ear for it because it happened so often. If my father was speaking at this tone and I heard him laugh a little bit, I'm like, okay, tonight's a good night. I'm like, okay, it's not gonna happen. And 10 times out of 10, it was a good night. Nothing happened. And then the moment I heard his pitch raised to a certain level, I'm like, okay, we're screwed, right? We're screwed. And I'd be in my room. I'm like this little anxious little Asian kid. Anxious. And I don't know what to do. So I'm just on the computer playing, you guys remember pinball? I'm just playing pinball. It's like, okay, just play pinball. Or like Tony Hawk skating thing. I would just be on the computer playing pinball or like Tony Hawk skating or watching Dragon Ball Z or something. And the moment I heard his voice raised to that pitch, I'm like, okay, things are going to break. Something bad's going to happen. My mother's going to start crying. She's going to start screaming and yelling. And I cannot do anything about it but just sit on this chair and keep playing pinball. And 10 times out of 10, that happened as well. The moment I heard his voice raised to this level right here, I'm like, okay, we're screwed. And it happened very often. So I was scared all the time as a child. I had to wake up for school the next day and I couldn't sleep because it's just screaming and yelling and so much stuff, man. Oh my gosh. So up until high school, I was a really good kid. And when I say good, I mean I was obedient. That's what I meant. Because I was so scared of my father. I didn't even respect him. I was just so terrified of him. Like, I was so terrified of coming home with a bad grade because I know I would get the belt. Right? When I was 15, I had enough. Right? A lot of things happened over there. Parents split up. Father got sick. Uh, I was left alone. I had to live with cousins for a certain time and all that good stuff. So in high school, I gave up. So I'm like, I don't care. Grades were good up until high school, and I said, I don't care. And I don't predicate your intelligence and how successful you be on age, or I'm sorry, not age, grades. When you get good grades in school, all it shows is that you are very good at following through with a task. You're very good at taking orders. That's it. And you can look at that negatively or you can look at that positively. Yes, you are very obedient. You're great at following orders and you're good at following through with something. Good. That's very good. But it doesn't judge how intelligent you are. It just shows you that, yeah, you can push through, you can follow through, you can stay consistent, you can finish the task, you can organize, and you know how to be obedient. I gave up in high school and everything went downhill. I started drinking, started smoking, because I couldn't stand it, man. My parents, they divorced, but he still stayed here at the house with us. It's just so much stuff. Because, I mean, he was good for nothing. And I will proudly say that. Proudly. I have forgiven him. I've completely forgiven my father. And I understand how difficult it must have been for him to go from Vietnam to here, not know a lick of English, bring his whole family to the States, take care of everyone. I get it. He's human just like me. I make mistakes. He made mistakes. So I've forgiven my father, but I choose to honor his last name by never becoming anything like him. That is how I will honor him. And I will honor him. Always. I will always honor him. But I'm going to do it a different way. And it's not by thinking he's a good person, because he's not. I will honor him by being absolutely nothing like him. I don't want to resemble him in any way, shape, or form, and that's how I make our last name better, right? That's how I choose to honor my father. So there was just so much chaos happening, and I'm in high school, and things are just still happening here. So the more time I spent away from home, the better, and the more time I spent asleep, the better, because I just didn't have to hear those things. And so my day-to-day schedule would be like this. It'd be go to school, skip school, I'd leave class, and I'd go sleep on a bleacher because I didn't sleep at night. Because I would just stay up to the sound of that, all this stuff. So I'd go to like my first class, I'd leave. There were these bleachers by the baseball field. And I have photos actually. I still have them on my phone, I believe. I'd go straight to the bleachers. There was a wonderful tree that would kind of cover half of the bleachers, and so I could get a little bit of sun, a little shade. It was phenomenal. And I would just lay there, and I'd sleep all through lunch, or all day, basically, until lunchtime. So I'd be there for about 2-3 hours, man, sleeping, or just looking at the sky and just daydreaming. I'm this little kid, a 16, 17-year-old kid, not knowing what the heck to do. And then obviously I'd get lunch because it was free. All right. You guys know how it works. If you don't got money, school lunch is free. If you have money, you have to pay for school lunch. We didn't have money. Ate the food, jumped the fence. I'd walk to the baseball field again. I'd jump the fence and I'd walk home. And then when I got home, I'd smoke. And I'd hopefully smoke before my parents came home so that they didn't know I was smoking. And then with that, I can go to sleep. And I can just sleep through the yelling. And that was my technique of kind of sleeping through everything and getting past everything. Because I couldn't sleep. There was just so much stuff happening. So I'm like, okay. I would drink, I would smoke. And at least that way, when I went to sleep or when I hit the bed, I'm gone. And I could wake up the next day for school. Right? So I did that a lot. And everything went downhill. Towards graduation, I didn't get a cap and gown. We didn't have money. I didn't even know there were rentals. I didn't know that you can like get a loan. I don't know. I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to senior. All that stuff that high school kids do. I didn't do none of that. We didn't have money. All I did was smoke and drink. I didn't even walk during my high school graduation. I didn't even walk. I went the next day to pick up my what's it called? My diploma. That's it. So I never really had a structured way of figuring out what to do. You know, I have friends that at a young age they wanted to do this. They wanted to do this. Like they set their sights on it. They're like, I will do this. I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. I'm gonna be a nurse. I'm gonna be a lawyer. I just wanted one thing, and it was just to find a way to not listen to the stuff that I heard at home. And I found a solution: drinking alcohol and smoking weed, man. The whole point of this story is up until I left to the military, I didn't know how to think. I definitely didn't know what I wanted to do. I left to the military because it was a Hail Mary. I was like, I have no other choice. I couldn't see another way. I'm like, I'm not going to go work at McDonald's. I'm not going to put my hardworking mother through thousands and thousands of dollars of student debt. All right, let's go. And at the time, I didn't know nothing about the military. I literally thought that if I joined the military, I was going to die. Like, I'm going to war and I'm going to die. Bye. I love you. And I was ready for it. I was like, whatever. Because I had no other path. I knew nothing. In the military, that's when I actually just started thinking. And I said, well, what do you want? And so I've come to the conclusion now, which I'll get into in just a second, that we have this thing called the arrival fallacy, which is the idea that people often fall for this arrival belief that happiness will come once a goal is achieved. And once it arrives, you're left wondering, now what? And you get stuck in this constant hamster wheel. You know, my gosh, there's so many celebrities and billionaires and high achievers who say, no, despite getting what they've wanted, they're unfulfilled. So we have to say, why is that, right? You know, Jim Carrey, his famous quote, my gosh, I wish everyone could get rich and famous and have everything that they ever dreamed of, so they can see that it's not the answer. And you have to think, well, why? And there are highly successful entrepreneurs and millionaires and billionaires that they're like, I love this. You have to think, well, why? Why is there a difference? True contentment comes from within, not external achievements. When we want things, or at least for me, this is what I figured out for myself. The money that I wanted, the notoriety, the fame, the businesses I wanted to open, it was all for me to say, hey, look. It was all a way for me to say to the world, hey, look, I did it. It was a way for me to show my city, hey, I did it. And so I thought, well, then I don't want any of those things, because if I was the only one on planet Earth, I wouldn't care to open a business. I'm the only one on planet Earth. And let's say if I was the only one on planet Earth, but I still had to pay bills. Let's just say, for example, I was the only one on planet Earth and money was still a thing. And for some odd reason, money was still in transaction and I still had bills to pay. If I were to open a business, I would try to do the easiest thing. If I would just find a way to make a lot of money quick, I wouldn't really care about doing something that was hard. I'm the only one on earth. Who cares? Right? A good way to decide and figure out what you want to do with your life is saying, do I want this for me? Or do I want this because it's going to give me something externally that I'm missing? Do I want the car because I'm a fan of how the car looks and I'm just a car geek? Or do I want the car because when I get it, people who see the car will give me a compliment, and that compliment is actually what I'm buying? What is it? Are you buying the car or are you buying the compliment? This is where you get into this kind of paradoxical thing, and I've been there, where nothing means anything, and anything means nothing. And so you're like, well, what's the point anyways? And so what happens is you're like, well, if that's the case, then I might as well not even try. And then you have this thing where it's like, no, I will become successful and I will do it. But then nothing means anything. And so should I try or should I go this way? And so it clashes. If you're going to do something, do it because you owe it to yourself. There was a part of me that for a while, all I wanted to do was impress people. I wanted people to give me my flowers. And then it got to a point where I just wanted to impress myself because I felt so unworthy. I wanted to look in the mirror one day and say, maybe you're not that bad after all, Thompson. Maybe you're not some type of demonic devil. Maybe you're not like your father. Maybe you're a good human, despite what people have said about you in the past. Maybe you are a good soul. Just maybe. And so it got to a point where it's like, I'm going to try to do everything to impress you so that you can see me a certain way. To where I just wanted to see myself a certain way. Because I had receipts and I had track records of feeling so inferior. Feeling like I'm not good enough. Feeling like I can never do anything on my own. Never being able to stay consistent. Can never follow through with anything. Never keeping my word. Hurting people around me. Not understanding myself. Just the worst version of who I was. And I knew that. And I didn't live in this delusion to where I was like, oh no, I'm a holy this and this and this. No, like I knew that and it ate me alive. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm a fraud. So I said, no more. No more. I just want to be able to look in the mirror and say, way to go, kid. Like, you did it, you know? Which is why I believe in authenticity. You guys know that if you look back on my videos, I'll tell you guys openly about how I lost everything. Right? I went broke. I was with the business, and I didn't have anything. And yet I'm still posting content. So why is that? Because I've adopted this framework, and it's none of this will mean anything. But I have receipts that, for some odd reason, these videos I make help you guys. And I remember when I was younger. I remember how it felt to not know anything. I remember how it felt to not know where to start. So I make this content so that hopefully you feel less alone. Because I remember there were people when I was younger that I would watch that made me feel they made me feel less alone. And it's what I wanted at the time. Or it was what I needed. And so I do all of this not because I can't wait to show people I made it and get the money and get the cars and the jewelry. I do all this because truly, nothing Nothing means anything. And anything means nothing. Like, truly, none of this matters. We will all be dead in 100 years, and none of this will matter. But while we're here, I don't want any of you to feel how I felt at all. And so if I can just say something that will just stick with you the rest of your life, I'll feel good. Right? So, again, the whole idea of this internal versus external success is, can you dive inwards to find something, or do you have to constantly go outwards? Is outward success meaning achievements, accolades, tangible things, or is it inward success, which is a sense of self, an idea of who you are as a human, as a being, as a creature? That's the whole existential crisis, which is you have to define your purpose and your value to find meaning, not by achieving the tangible things that this world gives you, right? So the illusion of fulfillment is having everything leads to this existential crisis. And as people realize that no external object or achievement can fill the void, now they're stuck and they're like, well, damn. Which is why you see a lot of celebrities, they're like, well, what the heck? Why do I feel so bad? It's because they've been gifted with a large lump sum of resources, which is money. With that amount of money, with that amount of power and notoriety, they can have anything they want. And so they're like, why do I feel so empty? I thought that having 500 million, a billion, trillions, and I can do anything, buy anything would give me the life I want. What's going on? Happens across the board all the time. I have a friend who literally is an example of that. Well, I'm not going to say a friend, but I know somebody that is a prime example of that. When he got a large lump sum of money, we got on a phone call. I said, how's it feel? And I said this earlier. He said, I was like, that's it? And that's what he said. He was like, honestly, bro, nothing's really changed. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. If anything, now I'm more scared of losing this. Because at least back then I didn't have anything. I was just scared of failing. But now I'm like extra triple scared. I'm like, huh. So I ask you to reflect on a moment where you achieved something major, big. Did that happiness last, or did you start thinking about the next goal? This is important. There's always more. And you know, I vividly see myself working hard to get this money. And I will be this multi-millionaire, and I will not buy anything tangible, and I will wear the same clothes, and I will live maybe on a ranch in the middle of nowhere with nothing but acres of land. Like, I vividly see it because I don't care to impress anyone. It used to be, I'm gonna become a millionaire and I'm gonna be the biggest name ever. I'm gonna boom, 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 boom. I don't care. I always speak about my belief in God. I truly do believe in God. I really do. And it's good to define God if you can, right? I don't define God as some type of old grandpa figure that sits on a throne with a cane. I define God as some type of invisible force that dwells amongst this world. And for some odd reason, this force kind of governs everything. And that includes us. And has preordained the fate of everything. If in the future I'm meant to be someone extraordinary because I get called to do so, cool. And if not, then I vividly see myself extremely wealthy and no one knows a thing. No one knows about the wealth because I just don't care. And when I die, I will just give it all away. All of it. I don't believe in passing. I don't believe in inheritance. And when I have children, I don't believe in giving them anything. They can suffer. They'll be just fine. And if not, and they end up putting a bullet through the head, oh well. No, seriously, like, oh well. It's not like I'm alive and I can do anything about it. But they can suffer. Because through the suffering, through the pain, was I able to build myself to someone that was relatively... Through all of that, I was able to build myself into someone that was a minor resemblance of the person that I really want to be. Had it not been for the suffering and the pain, I would not have become the man that, when I look in the mirror, I say, good job, right? It was only through that was I able to become this person. And so if I was handed $250,000 at the age of 18, I don't know what I'd do. I was not prepared for that type of money when I was younger, even though I wanted it. We always think we're ready for that type of money. I was not ready for that type of money. So, how do we redefine getting everything? First, we can start from shifting from external to internal. Those are goals. While it's normal to want to succeed and whatever that means, success, the key is to cultivate internal fulfillment through relationships, self-awareness, growth, purpose. That's the point. And even purpose is something that I'm not a fan of, because purpose is basically, I need a reason to wake up. Your purpose here is to live, experience, create, connect, have babies, and die. That's literally your purpose. You're here, you're going to experience everything, you're going to connect with people, you're going to impact people, you're going to tell your story, you're going to make babies, you're going to build relationships, and you're going to die. Like, the purpose of life is to experience and then die. You're going to be dead forever, and it was a long time before you were born. This is what Gary Vee says. And so you have this small window just to do something, right? I think some of the most successful entrepreneurs are highly insecure. And the reason they're so successful is because of their haunting insecurity. Their haunting insecurity just hangs over them like this and reminds them, you're not good enough, 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 you're not good enough. And so they have to keep achieving, because they have to keep achieving so that they can get reinforced by other people that they are good enough, because they don't believe they're good enough. And so they achieve so that other people can say, well, way to go. And so they're like, I am good. Okay, cool. And then they achieve more and they achieve more. It's this haunting insecurity. And so let's reframe success. What does getting everything mean to you? What is success to you? Is it about peace of mind, strong relationships, making an impact? Or is it money, fame, and material wealth? Define that. And here's how you can define it. If you're the only one on earth, how would you act? How would you behave? This will let you understand your most authentic self. If you were the only one on earth and what you would do is just smoke weed the rest of your days and watch movies, you have an idea of who you are at the core. If you were the only one on if you were the only one on planet Earth and your goal would be to walk the earth and just experience everything and just, you know, be try to take care of your body and just see what your body's made of because the world is your oyster. The core is you're an adventurer. If you are the only one on planet Earth and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to build the biggest building. Well, you want to build something and create. So how can we define success? That's the first question. The second one is, if success were no object, what would it be? If it wasn't anything tangible, what's the first thing that you see? And to me, success, if it's not tangible, if it were no object, not fame, not power, success to me is just having time. So if I breathe, I'm highly successful. If I can feel the sun smack my face, I'm highly successful. If I can spend time with my loved ones and make memories and laugh that I'll cherish forever, I'm highly successful. If I'm close to God, I'm highly successful. So it's good to reframe that. Now, here is where you can fall down a dark path, and it's you surrender the desire for everything else when you make this shift, this adjustment. I'm speaking from experience because it went from hunger, entrepreneur, ambition. Wait a second. Nothing means anything. Anything means nothing. Nothing means nothing. Like, this is all pointless. Success isn't this. So what is success? Oh, this success is whatever I have already at my disposal. Well, if that's the case, what the heck do I want to do with my life? I might as well just do nothing since all this is pointless anyways, right? I've been there. So you have to set a goal. The main foundation of everything that I do is I just want to help somebody feel less alone. Because I know how it felt. I vividly remember how it felt to be all alone. I vividly remember how it felt to have the people that I was hanging around every day behind closed doors just talk about me when I was bleeding for them. I vividly remember how it felt to be misunderstood, judged negatively. And the only thing that helped me was going on YouTube sometimes and discovering some YouTubers, and I would watch them and I'd listen to their philosophy, and I'm like, wow, you too? And I felt less alone. So that's all I want to do for you. And how big I take this, I will leave that up to life. I don't believe that I have control. I don't believe that I can change fate. I believe that I can adjust and alter destiny, but not fate. Fate is opening your phone, typing in an address, hitting directions. That's fate. It will give you the quickest way to get there, and you're going to get to that destination. And no matter what you do, if you follow the route, you will be at the destination. That's fate. Destiny is you punch in the address, and you think you're smart enough to take back roads and other streets just to find out that you increased the time by 2 to 3 minutes, and you just made it hard on yourself. So I believe that when we try to take control of our life, destiny, we're just making it harder and giving ourselves more obstacles to go through. When you just let life do its thing, you will reach your final destination in the most effective way possible. To me, I leave my life in the control of something beyond me. But every day, I'm going to try my best. And that's all I do. I don't want anything. I don't ask for anything. I just wake up. I don't even pray for anything. I just say thanks. Thanks for another day. Let's see what I got today. That's it. Now, continuous growth, right? Because obviously we need to grow. If we're not progressing, then we feel terrible and we want to die. If there is no growth, there's death. If there's no progression, then there's stagnation. And stagnation leads to desolation. Desolation leads to a sense of unworthiness. Sense of unworthiness leads to a desire to just not do anything. So, development never stops. And so, becoming better never stops. But how can we separate ourselves from the external world to where we find a way to improve, grow, progress, get better by means that are relatively unorthodox? Traditionally, get better by doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this. Get the money, climb the corporate ladder, buy the house, buy the car. To me, continuous growth is, can your body become better? Can your mind become better? Can your heart become better? And can your spirit become better? So it's spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. It's 4 aspects of growth that I focus on. Physical, let's exercise. Let's pay attention to our posture, our body language. Mentally, let's learn. Let's read books. Emotionally, let's develop an understanding as to why we behave a certain way. And spiritually, let's connect with something beyond us and connect with all things around us. You do those 4 things and you work on those 4 areas and you'll be good. Right? Which is why I really, really, really love this book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover by Robert Moore. I like psychology. And so it's analytical psychology based on Carl Jung. He's a Swiss analyst, the father of psychoanalysis, in my opinion. And so Carl Jung had a premise of his philosophical philosophy or psychological philosophy. And so once he died, so many students of psychology studied his foundations so that they can kind of expand the ideas more because his ideas were so genius. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover talks about navigating the psychology of manhood. There's 4 aspects of who you are. You are a king, which makes up who you are. And who you are is predicated on your warrior, which is what you do, your magician, how you think, and your intellect, and your lover. Your lover is your emotion, how you feel. And it goes into great detail. Short read, 160 pages. You get on Amazon for like $10. It's a great read, man. It really helped me. And I find myself often revisiting that book every 6 months or a year because I'm a new person. I always revisit books because when you revisit a book, it's a new person reading the book. The book that I read at 19, if I reread it now, I would get a completely different understanding of it. Right? So that's growth. What about something like contribution? You know why so many high achievers, they turn to philanthropy or they teach everything after getting everything? Well, maybe it could be for tax reasons, but the truth is, when you obtain everything, you realize that there's enough for everyone to eat. Just share. Make it easier for the next people. If you're the type of person where you don't want to make it easier for the next generation and you want to keep everything a secret and you don't want to tell people what you did, you're selfish, man. And you're always going to be selfish and you only care about yourself. Like, there's enough for everyone to eat. You don't have to keep anything a secret. For what? There are people out here that will, if let's say I am the owner of Nike and I want to publicly release my courses on how I built the foundation of the company and all of our secrets, Dude, there are people in the world that won't even do anything with that knowledge because they just will not think it's possible, though the blueprint is there. Teach people and just tell your secrets, for crying out loud. You're gonna die. Like, in 100 years, you're dead. Help the people that are still here. Make it easier on them. Instead of, oh, I had no help, so they gotta suffer too. How freaking miserable, selfish, and just disgusting. It should be, I suffered, and I don't want that for anyone else. There's a quote, and it goes, the difference between the hero and the villain is they've both felt pain. Except the hero says, I'm going to make sure no one feels this pain. And the villain says, I'm going to make sure everyone knows this pain. Be a freaking hero, not a villain, man. I can't stand selfishness. I see it so often. And it's so devastatingly heart-aching because it doesn't matter. They won't give money to people. I see people that won't give money to people that need it. Won't buy food for someone that needs it. Won't spend time with, because they're selfish. When they're 95, I guarantee you they're going to wish they would have been different. Because we are going to age. So I always want to try to imagine what the older version of me will do, because he is the most wise and the most intelligent, and he is one of the most sought after person when it comes to advice. And so what I do sometimes is I'll kind of play this, I'll do this role play thing, right? Where I have me now, Thompson now, at 24 with a problem, and I'll just kind of pretend like I'm talking to 90-year-old Thompson. I'll be like, man, so I'm going through this and this and this and this and this. And then once I hear it, I'll switch it. So now I put myself in a position to where someone's coming at me with that complaint or that problem in life, and I have to help them get through it. And I'm 90 years old. And so I do this role play thing where it's always like, I'll say, man, I can't believe it, man. I just got laid off of my work. Oh my gosh, this is terrible, bro. No one's hiring. Oh my gosh. My car, I got to get an oil change. And then I switch it and I'll say, wow, do you think you can get an oil change? Do you think you can find a job? Do you think it even matters? I'll ask myself those questions, and then immediately the framework is shifted. I'm like, okay, it's not that big of a problem anyways. Helps you zoom out, right? It really helps you zoom out. So contribution is important. I can't take any of this with me. I have notes. I don't know. I have notes that I've gathered through the years on my phone. And I plan on publicizing all of this some way, somehow, if I'm dead. If I die and I have someone I trust, I'll make sure that all of it gets publicized. My notes from 2016 to now, everything. Thoughts, ideas, all of it. I would not hold anything. Contribution. And then eventually you'll find a sense of fulfillment through your contribution. It's very interesting because we feel best when we help others, not when we help ourselves. You ever notice when you do a favor for someone, it feels a lot better than when you get a favor done for you? It's because you're helping. You're doing something for someone and something bigger than you. I'm not saying you have to live your life like this, but I'm saying I think evidently you will come to this conclusion that it doesn't mean anything and you'll end up just giving your wealth away anyways. And if not, then it's okay, whatever. But The world needs more heroes. The world doesn't need more selfish people who just are hungry for this constant desire to get money and money and money and money and success and external validation. Like, it's so worthless. And I know people who literally everything they did was only for external validation. They'll wear certain clothes for external validation. They cannot leave the house without this and this. They don't want to be seen in this and this. They can't even take a picture because of this and this. And if they take the picture, please make sure I don't look fat. Please make sure I don't look skinny. Shut up. Doesn't matter. You're so full of yourself. Like, no one cares. Nobody. Get out of your own head. Like, I know people like that. And I know people that want everything to themselves. They have the whole pie and they want the whole pie, even though only a slice gets them full. But they're like, no, I want the whole pie. Dude, there's enough for everyone. Feed people, man. Please. Contribute. And so, after you achieve everything, you have contribution, you have continuous growth, which is always evolving. Then we have something called legacy and meaning. It's not about what you achieve, but it's how you impact the world and those around you. In the end, what will matter, it's not what you got, but who you became throughout the process of trying to achieve. It's not about what you get, it's who you become. So the idea of legacy is something that withstands time. History is something that time discards. It's in the past. A legacy is something that it stays presently. So a legacy is, if I die, the Thompson Foundation, whatever, is still here present time. History is ancient Rome. Is gone, wiped out, to the loop, right? That's history. Legacy is it can withstand the test of time. It's here now. So, key points. Achieving everything doesn't really lead to lasting happiness. It's more about internal growth, meaningful connections, and contributing to a greater good. So you can do me a favor and just kind of reflect on your own time. Ask yourself, what the heck do I truly want out of life? If your answer is, I want to be a business owner, why do you want to be a business owner? Are you a workaholic? Do you enjoy the puzzles of a business and how to grow a business? Or do you want to be a business owner to tell the world that you're a business owner so that the world can say, wow, way to go, you're a business owner, and give you the respect and the flowers for being a business owner? Because if that's the case, you want to be a business owner for the world. So you don't want to be a business owner, you just want people to compliment you. So you want to be complimented and respected. If right now, the entire world respects you for who you are right now, what's the next step you would do? What would you do next? If right now you knew that no matter what you did with your life, the whole world would respect you and they would see you as the best version of yourself, what would you do with your life? This will help you identify if you're doing things for you or if you're doing things for the world. I really want to hear your guys' input on this. Comment down below, man. What's the meaning of life? How can we separate these two? I'm still trying to figure it out, and I haven't really figured it out just yet. Comment down below and let me know, man. But to conclude, where I'm at right now in my life, I define everything by, can I just become better? So I make content. I get money. Want to open a business, write my books. Why? And I have to conquer this this creeping feeling of, Thompson, do it because you're not good enough, and do it because you can't wait to share it with the world. I just want to do it because I want to show myself that I'm capable of doing it. And that's it. And if I can inspire you or make you feel less alone throughout the process, hey, I think I've won, baby. I think that's success. All right? That's it for this video, man. What happens if you get everything? Think about it. Reflect on it.